My mom has a Flyers jersey. I bought it for her a few years ago. Don't tell anybody.
I won't out
There
you.
there is a Flyers jersey in my house. I have wore it one time, and yeah, it's terrifying.
You
So I can't
felt
even.
dirty afterwards.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Optimistic Underdog podcast, where we talk about official sports news with unofficial sports people. I am your host, Erica, and with me today, I have a very special guest. This is Rahul. Rahul, what is
What
up?
up? What up, Erica? Thanks for having me on the show. I'm so
I'm
excited
I
to
am
talk
so
sports.
pumped. This is great. You got your Flyers jersey on. I've got my
You got your Penguins jersey.
This is just fantastic. So I'm super excited for
I have
today.
to say, I've just noticed that your hair kind of matches my jersey.
It does
You
a
got that.
little
You got
bit.
that kind of orange streak.
It works. It's perfect. I love it. All right. Well, we're gonna do things a little different today. We're both gonna talk about that big thing that was last week, the Super Bowl.
What's
So
this? What the superb owl? You say?
superb out the big game. So what do you think? How are you feeling? What did you think about that game?
I mean, honestly, the game it was just set up to be such a good game. Like, you've got your your current GOAT Tom Brady gone to a new team, like charging into victory, and then you've got the prodigy. You've got Patrick Mahomes on the other side, like two battles of QBs. And honestly, like at the end of that game, my first feeling was like, I feel bad for Patrick Mahomes.
Yep.
Like,
that boy does
he
not
played
give
his
up.
heart out.
Oh my gosh.
Like some of the stills and like some of the like pictures of that game of some of his throws and some of his plays, I'm just like gobsmacked that his team just wasn't able to bring everything together, like, which was such a shame. But I mean, the game was really good. I enjoyed it. It was a little bit back and forth, but then I guess the Bucks kind of ran away with it.
About that Buccaneers defense, and I don't think anybody really wanted to admit how good they were. And after just watching that, it's like, all right, I guess they have to be pretty good after watching that. I mean, like you said, those stills of Mahomes.
Absolutely.
My gosh, that boy is so athletic, and here's and he can just keep playing for a long time and just keep doing some of that crazy stuff, because he was incredible in that game. And like
he was horizontal at one point,
throwing the ball, and it hit the dude
guy in the face. And that was the second time that the ball hit one of his players in the helmet, like in the face cage. Like, poor guy.
Guy played his heart out. It was a great game. But I mean, I don't think any of us were surprised when the Buccaneers won. But you know,
but
I don't.
Fun fact about that game is that now Tom Brady has more Super Bowl rings than any single franchise in the NFL. It's just like, what?
Yeah, they should, Patriots and Steelers both have 6. Tom Brady has 7.
Has 7.
Okay.
It's just like, what a guy. I mean,
and you can't deny that the man has something special, as much as you want to hate him or anything else.
Yeah. For his athletic ability and his knowledge of the game, it's like he's undisputed GOAT. But he's still not my GOAT,
No, exactly.
Never respect to what he's achieved, man. Like he is an athlete.
Yeah, and as we talked about last week on the show, Kansas City wasn't winning that game on field goals, and that's all they got. They got field goals, and they obviously wasn't gonna do it for them. But again, the game was the most exciting part of the night, which was nice. Honestly, wasn't real thrilled with any of the commercials. I was never excited for the halftime show, even when they announced it. I can't say that I'm a fan of The Weeknd. I hope some other people enjoyed it. I know the internet has been having.
Yes, I was going to say. But shout out to the internet for the memes that came out of that halftime show. Like, incredible. Loving it.
Incredible. I mean, visually, I saw clips here and there. It looked like he did a fantastic job. But, he's just not for me, so that's okay. I hope others enjoyed it. But the game was the game, and that was the important part. So congratulations to Tom Brady.
GG's Bucks. GG's Bucks.
So we'll see how things go next year. I know Gronk was kind of teasing that he was going to retire again so he could skip training camp. So we'll see how that goes. a goof. My goodness.
Oh man.
Oh, so much happened around the league this week too, with some guys retiring, some guys
I
leaving.
know. I saw this. Oh my god, JJ
Oh,
Watt.
JJ Watt. Hey, but his brothers play for the Steelers, and they're just like, come over here. And I'm like, I'm not gonna complain at all there. The Pouncey twins both retired this week. They came in together, they're leaving together, which is kind of cool. So yeah,
Yeah.
lots happened in the football world this week. But hey, let's not talk about football. Let's talk about your big story because I'm so excited. This is new, and this is what I'm all about for this show is learning about new sports regardless of what they are. So please tell us what is up.
So I'm gonna cheat a little bit here because I'm gonna talk about sports, but I'm also going to talk about games because I'm going to talk about some esports. So some of you guys will know, some of the people who know me, I have a history of watching and playing League of Legends, which is probably one of the, I think it's probably the top, if not in the top three esports like in the world in terms of revenue
It's
and
up there.
viewership, and it's right up there. And yeah, last week was a really, really big week for the European League. So the way it's set up, there are different leagues in different regions, and then at different times. So during the regular season, you play within your region, and then when it gets to the World Championships, like the best from each region kind of meet up somewhere and have the finals. So Europe is sort of like League of Legends in Europe has been going on for like 10 years, but in that 10 years, there have been two like standout kind of storied teams that they because it's still such a young sport, like you haven't got that historical rivalry that you might have between other teams and like generations of
Like
fans that
these two
yeah,
here.
exactly. You don't have that rivalry, but it's slowly starting to develop, and I feel like last weekend was when I saw it. So I'm going to say I support the League of Legends team in Europe called Fnatic. They are probably one of the biggest organizations in Europe, and their rival team in League of Legends is called G2 Esports, which some of you may know as the team that got themselves a samurai skin and Fall Guys.
Ah,
So
yes.
yes, that is G2, and there's a particular player called Martin Larson, who is also known as Reckless, and his position in League of Legends is ADC, which basically means like he is the carry. He is the person who's dealing damage, doing all the crazy plays. Like a lot of people would build their teams around him. And for most of his career, he played for Fnatic. And then at the end of the last season, he moved to his arch rival team, G2. So they signed him,
Oh.
and it was a big deal. The internet kind of went crazy. His reasons for why he moved was basically he just didn't feel like he was going to win a world championship with Fnatic, which was kind of heartbreaking to hear for us Fnatic fans. We were like, oh man, like they've come close, but they've never been able to quite make it there. Fnatic did make it to the world finals in I think 2018, but then they got absolutely stomped in the finals by a Chinese team. But yeah, so he moved to G2, and at G2 he was reunited with another former Fnatic superstar, a guy. His first name is Rasmus. I can't pronounce his second name. But everyone calls him Caps. So Reckless and Caps reunited on the rival team, and last week Fnatic and G2 played each other in the league in the regular season, and it was the first time that Reckless was playing against his former team,
Mhm.
and Fnatic won. And that was so
Oh,
sweet as a Fnatic fan to see. I was just
that's
like,
the
you know,
best.
it doesn't matter. It's so normally in the finals it's a best of 5, so whoever
Mhm.
wins 3. But in the regular season you just play one match and that decides the score. So it doesn't really mean too much in terms of you know like how good the teams are, and everyone's still kind of finding their feet. I think we're only 3 or 4 weeks in,
Mhm.
but it was just that thing of it was so sweet to see that Fnatic didn't, Fnatic was broken when he left, and there was this big Reckless shaped hole in their team, and they filled it. They came back, they worked together, and they took down G2, and that was super exciting, and I was super happy about it, and it's been a great week.
That is fantastic. That actually reminds me of this hockey story from a few years ago with uh, Mr. Marian Hossa, who left the Penguins after they lost in the Stanley Cup Finals to the Detroit Red Wings because he felt that he had a better shot of winning with the Detroit Red Wings. and then the
Mm.
Pens ended up beating Detroit in the finals the next season,
Oh, that
and it was
is
just like,
amazing.
"In your face, buddy." He did
That
end up
is
going
incredible.
on to win some cups with Chicago, but it was okay, like, after he went to
Yeah.
Chicago because it was like, "Alright, it's fine," but, yeah, it was that one was that's very yeah, that's gonna be my parallel to that because that's a very similar situation, I feel like.
Yeah.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, so esports is just like, especially League of Legends, it's getting to that point where now that there's kind of 10 years of history, like
Mhm,
now the rivalries and the story and the drama is starting to build, like you've got these historic like icons now, and now that's where I'm getting I'd probably say I'm more invested in League of Legends now, even though I don't play it anymore because I just don't have
mhm.
time.
Yeah,
But I still find time to watch the league every week, and
that's
yeah, it's just
awesome.
incredible.
Super cool. I love this story, I love it, and yeah, maybe we'll talk about it at the end of the show, but I have maybe ideas and stuff. So that's so cool though. Awesome. All right. Well, we're gonna jump over to my story, which again is gonna be kind of a little bit like my story last week, where we're gonna talk about something that's not it's got to do with sports, but it's got to do with the arenas. So
Okay.
the other day, Governor Andrew Cuomo from New York announced that as soon as February 23rd, not that far away, fans could be enjoying games live in person at some of their favorite
Ooh.
sporting events for the Rangers, Mets, and some other teams, with the approval of the Department of Health, which I do believe they got. 10% capacity as long as the stadiums can hold a minimum of 10,000 people. So as long as the stadium meets that level and then they can hold 10% above, whatever the thing
Yeah.
is. They do have rules set in place. You have to have a negative PRC test within 72 hours of the event you're attending, face coverings, temp checks, social distance, and
Yeah. Yeah.
mandatory assigned socially distanced seating, which we have seen in some other arenas where you see these little pockets of people and gaps between. But obviously, you're going to have to abide by those rules, or I'm guessing, you're out.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say they're probably gonna be pretty strict on those guidelines because everybody wants to go watch sports. So,
Yeah. No,
um,
agreed. That's super cool.
now with our neighbors up north here, announcing that the other day, the Pittsburgh Penguins also submitted a request to both the governor of Pennsylvania and the Department of Health, and apparently, since the beginning of the season, have been trying to do this to get fans at their games in near futures. Though they don't have a date set. They're looking to fill the stadium up to 25%. Right now, they can have 500 people, which they have had at the games. They've had uh, like a local hero, some people who are working at the hospitals, some nurses, doctors, things like that. They've had a couple of those folks there, a couple of folks who have season tickets, kind of obviously well spread apart because that's a big stadium. I think capacity of that stadium is just over 18,000. So they're looking
Ooh.
to fill just around 4,500 seats. They did practice the other day with the first 10 rows open, or not, the first 10 rows were covered, and then behind that they had little pockets just to kind of see how it would look, I guess.
Mm.
Um, but both of the Penguins and their rivals across the state, the Flyers, have both made significant upgrades to their stadiums since the pandemic has started, including some of the things that I know the Penguins have done, drone disinfecting technology, which I actually watched a video of this little drone flying around spraying the seats and stuff.
That's so
Um,
cool. I love it. I love it.
UV floor scrubbers, so basically those big Zamboni floor scrubber looking things to
Yeah.
just kind of go around to clean the floors.
Nice.
200 plus hand sanitizing stations, touchless faucets and flush valves in all restrooms, which I think they pretty much had before, except for the faucets. Um, Also, I know in Wells Fargo Center in Philadelphia, they said that the air can be replaced in the lower bowl every 30 minutes. Complete refresh on the air with the new
Wow.
HVAC system that they've installed there. So they're making some huge, huge
That's
upgrades to both of these arenas to try to get them ready to, get fans
yeah.
back in eventually because eventually it's going to happen, regardless if it is this month, or next year.
Yeah.
Um, they're also trying to make the fan experiences, quote, almost completely touchless. I know I've seen some things with the ordering of food on, just the big screens, and
Mm.
something kind of like just pushes it out and you do the little boop scan thing, and that's how it's done. And, that's how we're going to how we're gonna get it done. So,
That's
um,
dope.
again, I've seen a few different stadiums. I know, Las Vegas had some folks in the stands. I think I saw the Blues had some folks in the stands for some of their games. Um, so there's a few places where you can go and catch a live hockey game if you're lucky enough to score tickets. I'm not sure how they're doing that, but, you know, New York and Pennsylvania, 2 of the harder hit states around, at least the northeastern part of the country, looking to reopen some stuff soon here. So that
That's
should
super
be
cool.
that
I
should be
mean,
interesting.
we were talking just before the show started about like some of our experiences of like going to live games and just how much fun they
Mhm.
were, and you just can't replicate the atmosphere. And like
Yep.
even if there's going to be less people, like it's still going to be so much more like
Mhm.
hype when you're actually in the stadium. And it's yeah, I'm looking forward to you know live events opening up both on esports and then regular sports. Like the NFL used to come to London.
Mhm.
I've been to a lot of those London games,
Oh, that's
um,
awesome.
and obviously they were cancelled this
Yeah.
time round. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that kind of stuff happening again and just getting back into watching like
Mhm.
live sports, like just in the flesh. So that's
I
dope.
know a lot of teams have been trying their best to make some things a little bit easier and more fun. I know that the Penguins have an app where you can, while you're watching the game, you can, answer questions and you get points and you could get a chance to win things. And like, when you want to clap, you hit this little button and it actually makes noise at the arena and stuff like
Oh
that, which
wow.
is super, super cool that they're actually doing some of this interactive stuff. So you kind of feel like you're there. Some
Yeah.
of them do, the screens. I know the Carolina Hurricanes were actually doing this really cool thing where they're doing the cardboard cutouts, but you could actually submit a picture of yourself to be
Oh
one of those
wow.
cardboard cutouts and then pick it up at the end of the season. So you kind of had a souvenir to be able to take home
Wow.
and
That's
stuff,
that's
which
pretty
is
cool.
super awesome. So it's great to see that, a lot of these teams are still trying to make things, a bit more
Yeah.
normal. Kind of like, when we get snow over here and they're like, oh, let's give the kids a school day, even though they're learning all online. Yeah, okay, well, they could just get on the internet and learn, but cool. Yeah, let's try to keep things as a little bit more normal,
Yeah.
So it's nice that they are doing things like this. And we'll see if we get back to some sports sometime this year. So it should be
Fingers
interesting
crossed.
for sure.
Fingers crossed.
March 8th, I know I said this before when we started. March 8th, 2020 was the last Penguins game where there were
Oh man.
people there. I was at that game. I saw Patrick Marleau score. I cried my eyes out, and my niece gave me the weirdest look like, "Why are you crying at a hockey game?" It was fantastic, and I will never forget it. So
Amazing.
it was fantastic. So, all
Amazing.
right. So what is your story for the week coming up?
So very similar to the first story, in fact. So essentially, in 2 weeks' time, G2 and Fnatic will have their second match,
Oh,
the
that's so
rematch
cool.
in the European League. And this is a big one because again, like at this point in time, like we're still early in the season, people are finding their
Mhm.
feet, rosters have switched around, people are trying to figure out. But when we get into the latter half of the season, that's when you start to see like who's emerging as the top dogs who are going to go to the playoffs and go to the world championships. And I don't know. I'm just really excited. Like, there's not really much more to the story other than I'm really hyped to see this next match, and
Doesn't
that's
need to
that's
be
all I
more.
got really.
That's perfect.
Um,
That's great because you know what? It still ties in with your first story and another rematch between those 2, that is going to be huge in the esports world, I can
yeah,
guarantee it,
and I mean,
especially with them
just
playing.
for like for to sort of kind of put it in perspective, I was watching the League of Legends live stream like before the Fnatic and G2
Mhm.
match that happened last week. Um, and it was like sitting at around 110,000 like live viewers.
Oh,
And
wow.
then the Fnatic G2 game started and it went up. If I think it peaked at around 313,000 viewers. It like
Oh my
doubled
gosh.
just for that one match. And I was just like, yo, like everyone knows this is a hype one.
I'm
So yeah,
excited
super
when I
cool.
have 15 viewers, man. Like
Yeah.
like, "Woohoo, get those
Yeah.
big numbers." Yeah,
Wait, you get double digit views? Damn.
I've been doing this for almost a year, okay? No one else streams on Sunday mornings. I mean, it's all about timing.
Absolutely, absolutely. But yeah,
Uh,
so that's my story. I'm just hyped to see the rematch.
that's great. That's awesome. I'm excited to hear about the rematch. You're definitely gonna have to tell me about it when that happens, so that's super cool. Um,
Absolutely.
My story, I'm gonna tie back to, the first one I had actually because the Pittsburgh Penguins have finally hired a general manager. Yay!
Hooray!
I'm so excited.
I
So
remember listening to like the podcast a
oh,
few like from 2 weeks back, and you were just like, they really need to get a move on and sort this out.
right? They
And
need
like,
to get it done. Well,
I'm
they did
happy
get it
for
done
you.
super fast, impressive, and hey, Flyers Nation, name you may recognize, Ron Hextall, goalie
Hey.
for the Flyers, drafted in 1984. We won't say what else happened that year. Cough, cough, my birth year. But uh, Ron Hextall, I cannot tell you how excited, man. This guy, I adored him. I mean, obviously, I don't remember watching games when I was that young,
Yeah.
but I've seen plenty of highlights of him chasing Mario Lemieux around the ice and just beating people up and making awesome plays and scoring the first ever goalie goal. Come on, man. This dude is fantastic. And he
That's
has
dope.
done amazing things as, just when he was with the Flyers because he was with them for a little bit. Let me see if I can find a list of folks that he helped draft while he was there because it's pretty incredible. Here we go. Okay, I can't. Nicholas Kubel, who he drafted in the second round in 2014, Brian
Yeah.
Elliott, unrestricted free agent signing, Joel Farabee, I can say names, hockey names are great, Mark Friedman, Morgan Frost, Robert Hagg, Carter Hart, like Travis Konecki, Oscar Limbaum, one of my favorites. Love that kid. Came back after beating leukemia. Boy is strong.
Man,
Love him.
what a
Philip
legend.
Myers, Nolan Patrick, Ian Provorov, Travis Sanheim, and James Van Riemsdyk. These are all things that Ron Hextall made happen in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
We took him from the LA Kings. Sorry, Eric. But I'm so excited about this signing. But not only did we get a general manager, we got a president of hockey operations, which is super,
Ooh,
super cool. Not something you
la-di-da.
see yeah, it's not something you see a ton in the hockey world yet. You do see it in some other sports, but it's becoming more popular. And Brian Burke. Now, some Penguins fans may remember him complaining about Sidney Crosby. Um, Brian Burke missed out on Sidney Crosby by this much in the draft lottery, and he ended up drafting Bobby Ryan instead. I mean, second over pick Bobby Ryan. That you really shouldn't complain about that. He's no Sidney Crosby, but hey, even he said after all these years, I finally got Sid. So he's pretty excited to be here. And he did an
That's
interview
awesome.
on 93.7 The Fan the other day where they dove right in. They asked him, who on the team is untouchable? Obviously, he said Sid unless Sid wants to leave. But other than that, he was saying, he's not going to make those decisions until he gets here, which is today. Super exciting that he's finally here because
What?
obviously he was in Canada. He was living his life in Toronto, and he said he was happy. But when we called him up to do this, how was he supposed to say no? And that makes me really excited. Obviously, as a Pens fan, but just in general to see this kind of stuff happen is super super cool. So when they were talking to him about the relationship between him and Hextall and how that's going to work, it was really interesting listening to talk about it, where he is going to be kind of have Hextall is going to build a team and be able to do all that kind of stuff where he takes care of the other things like the press conferences and all kind of like that management-y boring stuff. Like they should be seen as business partners instead of like boss and employee kind of deal, which is super awesome. Um, yeah. I'm pretty excited about them both coming to Pittsburgh, so it's going to be super exciting to see how
Yeah.
that all
I'm
happens.
I'm excited for you. I'm
Plus,
excited
he
for you.
said the Pens need more grit, which I've been saying for a while. So I am super excited to see what they do with our team here. So we'll definitely see how that plays out in the next few weeks. See if they make any trade because there have been a few hockey trades too. Actually, up there now, Canes trade Zingle to the Sens for Paquette and Galchenyuk. That's a pretty big deal as far as hockey trades because I know a lot of teams were a little worried about that. The American teams trading with the Canadian teams because then you have to
Mm,
wait for the border things and the COVID
yeah.
protocols and a whole bunch of stuff. And so we'll see how that all works out. But yeah, I'm excited to see where this all goes. So that's going to be my just recap. And, I'm excited. Like I said, that's my future story. I'm excited to see where everything goes with
Yeah,
him.
that's
So
awesome.
super, super awesome. Yeah, I think that's so. Here, let's jump into our silly sports story because I'm
All
excited
right,
about
here we
this
go.
one.
I'm
I
excited to hear this one.
I had a rough time finding one, but I found this the other day, especially because like right now when you hear politics, I'm just like, oh, I'm so tired. Tired of politics. I'm tired of all the stories. This one caught my attention though because
Although, can
it
I just
said,
say,
"Mhm,
like, ever since Trump has left office, I've not heard a peep about American politics over here in the UK,
it's
and
so a
I'm just
lot
like, this
better."
is strange. Like, it's
That's
like
what I
everything seems kind of chill over there now. Like, huh?
don't jinx it. Don't jinx it.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You can edit that
So
out. You can edit that out.
I get this headline that says Ben Roethlisberger going leaving football for politics. I'm just like, excuse me,
That is a
excuse
great
me.
headline.
Super clickbaity article title, and
Yep.
it got me, and I have to give them credit for it. So I get this article. Ben Roethlisberger's longtime center Marquise Pouncey retired, like we talked about earlier. Pouncey, twins retired on Friday. So Ben is making a career move. When presenting his opening arguments in former President Donald Trump's impeachment trial on Friday, Trump's lawyer, Bruce Castor, misspoke. Castor appeared to confuse Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback Ben Roethlisberger with Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger. And the
That's
quote is,
excellent.
it's blah, 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 all this silly stuff that they're talking about here. President Trump's phone call to Georgia Secretary of State Ben Roethlisberger surreptitiously recorded. And it's hilarious. I highly recommend you check out the video clip because he definitely very clearly says Ben Roethlisberger and not Brad even anywhere close to
It's
that.
not
You'll
even close. Not
He's
even
not even
close.
close. And it's like, okay, well, this is just like, oh, headache. But yeah, that
That's
is my
amazing.
silly sports story for the week.
I
So,
love it. I'm a big
yep.
fan of Big Ben. I have a special, I have a soft spot for Big Ben just because the first time I ever played fantasy football, like fantasy NFL, I had Big Ben as my QB, and he did me a
Awesome.
solid. He did me a solid. I
That's
had a good
great.
season with him. I
I'm
didn't
glad it
win, but I did okay.
I'm glad it was one of the seasons where he probably stayed healthy then, so
Yeah, yeah,
that's good.
exactly. Yeah.
'Cause we know that he doesn't do that quite often. So, that's good that he at least stayed healthy and did a good season for you, so that's super, super cool. So, alright, guys, well, I think that is going to wrap it up for the day. Rahul, please tell the good people at home where they can find you.
All right. Well, you can find me on Twitter at Rahulahoop with an underscore, and then also at twitch.tv/Rahulahoop with an underscore. Usually streaming either Hitman or Genshin at the moment. We'll probably be streaming some Monster Hunter in the future.
Awesome. Cool. Yes, please check him out. All the good stuff he's doing over there. Um, as always, you can find me at Ambelina on Twitch and Twitter, and of course on the OU Pod. We just released an episode of the podcast that's not our usual stuff. It's Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. So
Ooh.
go ahead and check that out. We had a very special guest on that episode. Also, next weekend, please be on the lookout. We are going to have a super special episode dedicated to fan controlled football. We're going to learn all about it. We're going to
Ooh,
find
let's
some cool things
go.
out. I am so excited. Wild Aces, heck yeah, won their first game.
Hell yeah.
So I'm super pumped for next weekend. So until next time, everybody, keep it unofficial.